Hi, I am Radwan M. Kasir. I will show you in this presentation how the special relativity equations are fudged. Contents of this presentation: Special Relativity SR Development Motivation, SR Development Basis, SR Straightforward Formulation from Einstein's Assumptions, SR Misleading Fudged Equations, SR Contradictory Equations, unveiling the SR formulation error, and viability of the constancy of the speed of light. Special Relativity Development Motivation. Michelson-Morley Experiment. The Michelson-Morley experiment was designed in the late 19th century following Maxwell's electromagnetic wave theory of light to detect the ether wind created by the Earth motion through the ether-filled space. The results of the experiment were puzzling, as the Earth motion through the ether couldn't be detected, on the basis that the speed of light should vary depending on whether light is moving in the same or opposite direction of the Earth motion relative to the ether. Einstein did not reference the experiment in his original paper in 1905 on relativity, but admitted years later that he had been aware of it at the time of writing his paper. Special Relativity Development Basis. The special relativity evolved from Einstein's assumption that the speed of light in the empty space is constant in all inertial reference frames. It always propagates at the constant speed c relative to any inertial observer. This assumption implies that the speed of light c in empty space is not referred to any frame of reference, for example the ether. Thus the ether becomes unnecessary and light can propagate without any medium. When light encounters a medium, it may be slowed down, reflected, or absorbed. With the constancy of the speed of light assumption and the elimination of the ether, the Michelson-Morley experiment results can be justified from the Earth's rest frame perspective, since the speed of light is no longer varying with the light direction of travel relative to the previously assumed ether wind direction. Special relativity development basis continues. In addition to the constancy of the speed of light assumption, Einstein also relied, in his formulation of the special relativity, on the principle that all inertial frames are equivalent insofar as the applicability of the laws of physics are concerned. In other words, the formulas governing the laws of physics expressed in a frame of reference coordinate system will take the same form with respect to the coordinate system of another inertial frame in relative motion with respect to the former. Another unjustified assumption made by Einstein was considering time to be a fourth dimension. This is indirectly implied in his expression of the time transformation as a function of time and space coordinates, thus imposing a space coordinate dependence on the transformed time. Special relativity straightforward formulation from Einstein's assumptions. Consider two inertial frames K and K prime. In relative motion along the overlapped axes x and x prime at the speed v. The transformation relation relating the space and time coordinates of the two frames is to be determined. the Galilean transformation doesn't work under the constancy of the speed of light. And this is why. If we apply the Galilean transformation from the perspective of k coordinates, we get x prime is x minus vt. And from the k prime coordinate perspective, x equal x prime plus vt prime. Of course, because with respect to k prime, this distance is vt prime, and with respect to k, this distance is vt. This is the point we are considering with the coordinate xy with respect to k and x prime t prime with respect to k prime. Now, these two equations will obviously result in t equal t prime if we just substitute x here. And applying the constancy, the consequence x equals ct, it will imply that x prime is equal to ct prime, and vice versa. This is a consequence of the constancy of the speed of light. This relation here, this transformation, if you want. If you consider the coordinate x equal to ct, it will be transformed to x prime equal to ct prime. If we apply this transformation to the Galilean transformation, we get t prime equal t minus vt over c, yielding v equals 0 for t different than 0, since t is equal to t prime. T equal t prime, then v will be 0 when t is different than 0. So we cannot apply the Galilean transformation under the constancy of the speed of light. We need to seek a different transformation if the constancy of the speed of light to hold. Special relativity straightforward formulation from Einstein's assumptions is continued. Therefore, a different linear transformation is needed under the constancy of the speed of light assumption, CSL. Relative to k, this transformation should take the form of x prime equal gamma x plus beta t, y prime equal to y, z prime equal to z. This is assumed as there is no motion in these directions. Now we have this transformation, which is obvious that when x prime is 0, x must be equal to vt. Therefore, applying this to this transformation here, we should get beta equal minus gamma v for t different than 0, leading to x prime equal gamma x minus vt. And this is another transformation which is due to the constancy of the speed of light, that when x is equal to ct, x prime must be ct prime. Therefore, applying this also to this equation now, ct prime equal gamma ct minus vt will yield this direct result of time transformation, t prime equal gamma t times 1 minus v over c, which can be forced to take the form of a function of t and x. If we arbitrarily substitute as x equals ct for x different than 0, of course x is different than 0 because this equation is hold true for t different than 0, and since we are taking x equals ct, so x must be different than 0. This will yield t prime equal gamma t minus vx over c square. This is conditional only when x is equal to ct and when it is partially plugged in this term. Straightforward formulation continued. Now, since k is traveling at the speed of minus v with respect to k prime, and owing to the relativity principle implying a transformation symmetry, we can write relative to k prime x equal gamma x prime plus vt prime. This is deduced from the previous transformation we got, which was x prime equal gamma into x minus vt. Again, if we replace t prime with x prime over c, we get t equal gamma t prime plus vx prime over c square. And always for x prime and t prime different than 0. And x prime equals ct prime partially plugged here. Now, if we get to substitute x prime equal gamma x minus vt, which we got earlier, and t prime equal gamma into t minus vx over c square, this transformation we got previously. If we substitute these values of x prime and t prime in this equation, and t equal gamma t prime plus vx prime over c square, we get an algebraic expression that we can simplify and solve for gamma. This will lead to gamma equal 1 over radical 1 minus v square over c square. Hence, the Lorentz transformations are obtained. However, the time equation is shown to be based on the hidden restriction x equals ct. The special relativity misleading equations will show the approach of special relativity in deriving the Lorentz transformation, and we'll see how the same misleading equation, the same fudging of the equations with the term x equals ct is hidden in this derivation. Now, let's sum up. In a simple conclusion, the assumed transformation equation x prime equal gamma x plus beta t, along with the conversions x prime equals 0, x equals vt, and x equals ct equivalent x prime equals ct prime, consequence of the constancy of the speed of light, and with the principle of relativity implication on the transformation symmetry, all this lead to these transformations: x prime equal gamma x minus vt, and t prime equal gamma t 1 minus v over c, with gamma equal 1 over radical 1 minus v square over c square. And of course, if we want to force t prime to take the form of a function of the space coordinate x, then we have to fudge this term with t equal x over c. We will get the time transformation, Lorentz transformation. This obtained falsely, of course, by substituting x equals ct in the term vt over c. Special relativity misleading equations continue. So the simply derived Lorentz transformation x prime gamma x minus vt and t prime gamma t minus vx over c square is therefore misleading, since the condition that x equals ct is embedded in the time transformation equation. The same applies to the inverse transformation for x prime equals ct prime is embedded in the inverse time transformation t equal gamma t prime plus vx prime over c square. This fact leads to a basic mathematical contradiction. Special relativity contradictory equation. Indeed, substitute t prime equal gamma t minus vx over c square into t equal gamma t prime plus vx prime over c square to get this algebraic expression that can be rearranged into t times gamma square minus 1 equal Vx over c square times gamma square minus gamma x prime over x. Now, since as shown earlier, and the time transformation equation and its inverse are restricted to the conditions x equals ct and x prime equals ct prime, then the above equation can be written as t gamma square minus 1 equal Vx over c square gamma square minus gamma t prime over t. Here we replaced x prime over x by t prime over t since the ratio is shown to be the same. This is a restriction on the actual transformation equations. Now, if we consider the transformation equation t prime equal gamma t minus Vx over c square for t prime different equals 0, for t prime equals 0, we have t equal Vx over c square. T equal Vx over c square to get t prime to 0. Therefore, the above combined equation derived from the Lorentz transformation leads to the contradiction t into gamma square minus 1 equal t gamma square, because Vx over c square becomes t when t prime is 0. Because when t prime is 0, Vx over c square is t. So we get this form, which is 0 equal to 1. This is an obvious contradiction, which demonstrates the invalidity of the Lorentz transformation equations. Unveiling special relativity formulation error. As I mentioned earlier, that the mainstream derivation of the Lorentz transformation can be shown to include the same Fudged terms as shown earlier, but in a hidden way, and let's see how. We have seen through straightforward formulation of the special relativity transformation equations that the constancy of the speed of light assumption, expressed as x equals ct, imply x prime equals ct prime, and vice versa, along with the transformation symmetry implied by the relativity principle, lead to the transformation equations x prime equal gamma x minus vt, t prime gamma t 1 minus v over c, with gamma equal 1 radical 1 minus v square over c square. And the time transformation can misleadingly be expressed as t prime equal gamma into t minus vx over c square by fudging the equation term vt over c by substituting t with x over c. Okay, we've seen this earlier. This is a recap. Now, the self-imposed question is, why there appears to be no fudged equation in the mainstream derivation of the special relativity equations, the Lorentz transformation equation? The answer is by making formulation assumptions that will force the solution to take the form of misleading equations when ignoring their being restricted to these assumptions. In fact, a consequence of the constancy of the speed of light assumption is that for x equals ct, x prime equals ct prime, this transformed to this and this transformed to this, which, as we have shown earlier, is not compatible with the Galilean transformation x prime equal x minus vt. Then it would be prudent to assume a linear transformation of the form x prime equal ax plus bt, which was shown to lead to, under the constancy of the speed of light and the relativity principle, lead to the transformation equations x prime gamma x minus vt, t prime equal gamma t 1 minus v over c, with gamma equal 1 over radical 1 minus v square over c square. We've seen this. This will directly lead to this under these assumptions here. However, the assumption made by Einstein on the transformation equations is that the time transformation should be a linear function of x and t. He already assumed this space transformation, and a time transformation as well is assumed, forcing a dependence on x with y equal y prime and z equal to z prime, thus imposing the dependency of the speed of the time transformation on the x coordinate. In other words, making time another dimension coordinate. And the mainstream derivation of the Lorentz transformation equations. The above equation parameters a, b, g, and h are to be determined under the constancy of the speed of light assumption expressed as x prime minus x prime square equals c squared t square minus c squared t prime square, which in fact implies the basic constancy of the speed of light consequence. That is, when x is equal to ct, x prime will take ct prime. This is obvious from this equation. If we replace x by ct, then x prime will be solved and become x prime equals ct prime, and vice versa. So this expresses very well the consequence of the speed of light in the x prime direction. However, it also implies that x equals ct and x prime equals ct prime without any transformation here being played, since the same equation can be derived from these two independent expressions. If we have x squared equals c squared t squared and x prime squared equals c squared t prime squared, then by subtracting these two expressions we get this, which is the speed of light constancy principle as expressed by Einstein. Obviously, when we plug x equals ct and x prime equals ct prime, this equation is satisfied. So basically, the constancy of the speed of light as expressed by Einstein imply both things, that x equals ct is transformed to x prime equals ct prime and vice versa, and x equals ct and x prime equals ct prime independently. Now, we've seen that x equals ct, implication x prime equals ct prime, results in this transformation equation, t prime equal gamma t1 minus v over c, and t equal gamma t prime 1 plus v over c. Okay, so this, which is implied by the constancy of the speed of light equation here, it implies this transformation relation. This will result in this transformation. We have seen this. Now, x equals ct and x prime equals ct prime, which are also the result of this expression of the speed of light constancy, which will provide the x and x prime term here by plugging x equals vt and x prime equals vt prime. In line with the sought equation, t prime equals ht plus gx, yielding the Lorentz transformation misleading equation. So this combination of the assumed linear transformation equations with the constancy of the speed of light principle, expressed this way, plus the relativity principle, this mathematics will evidently result in this equation, in the Lorentz transformation equation. Hence, solving for the parameters in the assumed linear transformation equations, x prime equal ax plus bt, and t prime equal gx plus ht, y equal y prime, z equal z prime, under Einstein's constancy of the speed of light equation, x prime minus x prime square equals c squared t squared minus c squared t prime square, will inevitably lead to the misleading Lorentz time transformation equations, unnoticeably fudged with the restrictions x equals ct and x prime equals ct prime on the space coordinates. In other words, the x and x prime in the above equations are indirectly replacing ct and ct prime respectively. Unveiling special relativity formulation error. Continue. A different formulation approach was used by Einstein in his original 1905 paper on special relativity to derive the Lorentz transformation equations. Yet the same fudging of the equations can be revealed. In fact, Einstein started his derivation by forcing a space dependence on the time transformation by assuming the transform type tau in the traveling system k to be a function of the coordinates x, y, z, and t of the stationary system k. He then defined x prime equal x minus vt in k, which is a constant distance in k prime, traveling with k prime with respect to k. He then derived the equation tau equal a times t minus v over c square minus v square x prime. And by setting t equal to x prime over c minus v for tau equal psi over c, this is basically the constancy of the speed of light. For tau equal psi over c, t equal x prime over c minus v. To get, replace here tau by psi over c, then we get psi equal a times c into x prime over c minus v, this is t, minus v over c square minus v square x prime. This can be rearranged and simplified to psi equal a c square over c square minus v square x prime. However, this is an invalid partial substitution of t with x prime over c minus v. Since the x prime term here is embedding t in it, which makes this substitution x prime over c minus v in place of t is partial substitution, because we are neglecting the t term here. This is basically the main trick used to come with a transformation that is a function of x. This trick can be exposed by replacing x prime with its value x minus vt in Einstein's equation tau equal a into t minus v over c squared minus x squared. To get, if we replace x prime by its actual value x minus vt, this is the assumed value, okay, we will get this expression tau equal a over c squared minus v squared c squared t minus vx. So this is the general expression of tau, explicitly stating x prime equal x minus vt. So this is equivalent to this. Nothing is the same. Now, applying the constancy of the speed of light for tau equal psi over c, t equal x prime over c minus v, which is x minus vt over c minus v, So t equal x minus vt over c minus v. This will solve for t, we'll get t equal x over c. So again, t equal x over c, it's the equivalent, it's also expressed the constancy of the speed of light. Means for x equals ct, tau equals psi over c. Hence, the above equation yields this equation here for tau, the main equation for tau, replace tau with psi over c equal a over c square minus v square times c square, t replace it with x over c, because x over c is the time corresponding to psi over c, minus vx. Simplify this, we will get psi equal to ac square over c square minus v square into x minus vx over c, which will yield Einstein's equation a times c square over c square minus v square into x prime. So this become x prime if and only if the term x over c is arbitrarily replaced with t, i.e. by randomly using x equals ct in the second term here. So when we replaced x prime by x minus vt in Einstein's equation and applied the constancy of the speed of light, we get this equation, which will yield Einstein's equation only if we replace x over c with t. So we have seen that there is a hidden replacement that doesn't show how the x over c equal t is fudged into this equation. Furthermore, tau expression can be written as tau equal a t minus x prime over c minus v times v over c plus v. Simply factorize c square minus v square. And for tau equal psi over c, which is psi equals c tau, we have x prime over c minus v is t, the constancy of the speed of light. Therefore, psi over c here, which leaves psi and c on the second term, on the second side, on the other side, equal ac into t minus tv over c plus v. So this is the actual value of psi obtained under the constancy of the speed of light, because here we are not doing any partial replacement. We are simply saying x prime over c minus v is t when tau is psi over c. So we get this equation instead of Einstein's equation. Now, using the actual value of a, which is obtained in Einstein's paper, to be equal to 1 over gamma, radical 1 minus v square over c square, we use it in this equation. We will get zeta equal gamma ct 1 minus v over c, and then tau will be gamma t 1 minus v over c. These equations will yield the Lorentz transformation if and only if x equals ct and zeta equals c tau. So again, we have demonstrated in a different way how these terms are indirectly used in the Lorentz transformation equation. We have here another flaw of the derivation of Einstein. Einstein noted that x prime equal x minus vt is independent of time. Yet he got psi equal ac square x prime over c square minus v square. That must accordingly be independent of time, because this is independent of time. These are constants, so obviously psi is independent of time, contradicting the final equation of psi, which is gamma x minus vt, which for instance yields psi equal minus gamma vt for x equals 0, which is a time dependent. So psi becomes a time dependent when for any value of x, for any constant value of x, for instance for x equals 0, which is used a lot in the interpretation of the Lorentz transformation. Unviability of the constancy of the speed of light. Now, are the straightforward transformation equations that we have derived, x prime equal gamma x minus vt and t prime equal gamma t into 1 minus v over c with gamma equal 1 radical 1 minus v square over c square, obtained from the constancy of the speed of light consequence and the relativity principle viable? To answer this question, let's consider another consequence of the constancy of the speed of light. Okay, here for y prime equals ct prime, so if we have light traveling with respect to k prime in the y prime direction, so we have y prime equals ct prime, or y prime square equals c square t prime square. What we have for y? Then k will see the light going in this slanted direction, and by applying the Pythagorean theorem, we will obtain with respect to k y square equals c square t square minus v square t square, because this square equal to vt square plus y square. So applying the above consequence, which is y prime square equals c square t prime square, is transformed into y square equals c square t square minus v square t square. We apply it to the transformation y prime equal y, or y prime square equal y square, we get this term equal to this term. So c square t prime square equals c square t square minus v square t square. Solving for t prime, we get t prime equal t radical 1 minus v square over c square, imply t prime equal t over gamma, which when compared to the above equation of t prime that we got already when we applied the constancy of the speed of light in the x direction, we got t prime equal gamma t 1 minus v over c. Must be a different transformation, so we get a different transformation than the one we got in the y direction. Yet t prime should be transformed by the same transformation. So if we compare this transformation to this transformation, we will get v equals 0 and t equal t prime and gamma equal 1. Therefore, the constancy of the speed of light assumption is deemed unviable. Thank you very much.